This dude's name has been blasted across headlines, debated in living rooms, and whispered in circles that don't want you hearing the truth. He's lived through what most people only read about on biased news feeds in the mainstream media, arrested after January 6th, locked up, labeled, and then boom, pardoned by Donald Trump. Whether you see him as a patriot, a pawn, or a problem, he's here today to speak for himself. No edits, no filters, just raw conversation. Nate DeGrave. You were snatched after January 6th. Now, what were you doing in Washington, D.C.?
Yeah, so we originally went there to film. The goal was to film a movie. So we bought all the movie stuff, and of course, I'm a marketer. So I kind of took that and ran with it, and I bought all kinds of crazy gear, including a skull mask and a helmet. And our goal was to just really amp up the amount of viewers and the eyeballs on our trip there. But obviously the goal wasn't to storm the Capitol when we initially started planning our trip.
Did you guys, not you personally, but like the crowd, storm the Capitol?
I mean, if you call walking through open doors storming the Capitol. You know, I say that tongue in cheek because obviously that's the narrative. But at the end of the day, my case, and I can't speak for everybody, but my case, we will simply walk through the doors.
Well, I saw a video, but you know, I'm of the belief that you're only going to see what they want you to see. So like, you know, the left see certain things on social media and the right see certain things on social media. And so depending on how you lean is kind of what you're seeing. And I always say to people like, well, dude, they didn't storm the Capitol. Didn't you see? Like they were wide open doors. It's almost like they were letting them in. And people are like, are you crazy? That's not what I saw. I saw them storming. And I'm like, I didn't see the same shit. So you were there.
Yeah.
Okay. So, I mean, did some people storm the Capitol?
I mean, there might have been some people that quote unquote forced their way in.
But if the doors were open for you, would you shut them behind you, or were they closed at first and somebody that stormed it and then you walked in after they were stormed through, or were they just wide open?
So I can't speak for what happened previously before I got there, but I know that when I arrived, the doors were open and people were just pouring in, and there were cops inside actually just watching this happen. In fact, I fist bumped a couple of them walking past. So is that storming the Capitol? I don't know.
No.
That's really up for debate.
It sounds to me like it's setting a trap.
Basically.
Yeah, and again, I'm not a conspiracy theorist, but like, again, video I saw people walking in, you know, I saw cops going, hey, how you doing? How's it going today?
Yeah.
You know, who's that dude that was wearing that headgear? You know,
Jake Chansley.
Yeah, like that guy was talking to a couple cops like, how you doing? He's like, oh, just walking around. It's like, that's not storming anything.
Right. It later turned out that he was being guided by the police inside of the Capitol. So is he storming the Capitol, or is he just taking a guided tour?
Yeah, so I'm wondering, like, is the conspiracy theories, like most of them have been true? That was a trap? They baited you guys in there?
I think that there was definitely an initial trap. And then obviously there might have been some aggregators or aggravators, maybe even from the FBI. There's a lot of questions about that. But I think that some people got out of hand, but I think that it was initially started from a trap. It was definitely an entrapment case, in my opinion. Now,
did you feel in danger at any time?
No. The crowd was calm for the most part. I mean, there was some chanting going on, as in any rally, but I think that all of that stuff was just exaggerated.
Now, to all my, I don't know if I have any left listeners, but to the left listeners, what would you say to them when they're saying, bullshit, you guys should be in prison? You guys tried to pull an insurrection.
Well, first of all, you can't really start an insurrection without weapons. You know, so no weapons were brandished, no bullets were fired, except for the police, the Capitol Police, who killed Ashley Babbitt in cold blood. And that's,
when you say in cold blood, is this something you're reading, or were you there?
No, so I didn't see this, but I know a lot of people that personally seen it.
What happened that?
So, I mean, she just crawled through a window that was open, and probably somebody previously broke it, and she crawled through it. And of course, you might not supposed to be doing that, but do you deserve to be killed for that? No. I mean, and she was unarmed, so a taser would have done just fine. You know, I don't even think she would have resisted if she was stopped.
And it was a female.
And it was a female. So the cop shot her. He was trigger happy, probably just hated Trump supporters and just saw an opportunity where he could probably get away with shooting somebody. And sadly enough, it looks like he did.
Now, when that happened, was it already chaotic?
I don't know. I wasn't in that part of the building.
Was there ever any chaotic, crazy riot environment happening, or was it just people walking and talking and, like you said, like a tour through the Capitol?
I would say 99.9% of people were just walking through the Capitol, taking pictures, taking selfies. In fact, I know some of the people I met in prison as January 6ers did only that. They went in, they took a couple photos. One of them put his feet up on the senator's desk, took a picture. Maybe he shouldn't have done that, but ended up in prison nonetheless.
And when you guys left that day, did you anticipate feds are coming to get you?
I was torn because after it happened, I panicked. And I was supposed to stay in DC for 3 more days. So after we left the Capitol, I immediately panicked and I went straight back to Vegas and I just pretended like it never happened.
And how did they find you?
Social media, the cameras, the surveillance. I mean, it's impossible really to get away with something like that. And the third person who was in our group also went to the FBI and gave them a lot of information. So,
well, with all the cameras, why wouldn't they have seen that, hey, these people are being let in? Or is that footage available to the public?
Yeah, I'm sure it is. There's a lot of footage available, and even footage that we shot ourselves that is available. But unfortunately, there's so much of it, and you'll never see that being played mainstream.
Why do you think that is?
Well, they have a narrative that they want to paint, and they chose a narrative, and that's what they want to stick with. So anything that contradicts that, they obviously want to try to avoid.
Did you get convicted in a courtroom?
I did. So I took a plea deal, and it was basically, when it came down to it, my lawyer was like, look, you're going to take the plea deal, or you're going to go in front of a DC jury and do twice the amount of time.
How much time did they give you?
It was, I did 3 years in total. So it was 37 months when I finally got sentenced.
So the sentence was 37 months.
37 months.
In a federal prison.
Yeah.
Low, high, medium?
It was a medium.
Those aren't good.
No,
and
not.
Did they ever put you in prison?
Yeah, I spent 6 months in California prison and then 1.5 years in a DC jail.
Lompoc?
Lompoc, yeah.
How'd you like it?
It was boring. I mean, it's the biggest way to describe it, because I'm a motivated person. And to have to sit around and do nothing just drove me insane.
But it wasn't as scary as they make things sound.
No, I mean, if you just stay out of, don't do the drugs, don't get involved in the wrong crowds, keep to yourself.
Did anybody come up and high five you? Were the prisoners for you or against you?
Yeah, I mean, I got nothing but street cred in prison. Even people that were not necessarily on my side politically respected what I did, because to them it was like a resistance against the machine.
Yeah. Well, again, I mean, you got to pick almost.
Right.
Was it a resistance, or was it a tour guide or a tour through the Capitol?
Yeah.
Because resistance is we were fed up, so we rushed in.
It depends, because who you're talking, like in a prison environment, it depends. You want to phrase things in a way that gets you the most respect, obviously. And
so do you consider yourself a political prisoner, or were you just in the wrong place at the wrong time?
Oh, definitely a political prisoner. I mean, the punishment just doesn't fit the crime. And really, that's been the case that's been made over and over. Not that there shouldn't be any punishment at all, but that there is a 2-tier justice system, that liberals and Democrats and Black Lives Matter and other groups like that have done worse and gotten less time.
Yeah, well,
that's the argument that we're really making.
And that's true across all things. I mean, you can kill somebody and get less time than somebody gets on white collar fraud cases, for example.
Correct.
With the federal guidelines, it's how many counts will determine how many years they have to give you, right?
Yeah, basically. They could do it consecutively. Depends on the judge and what they want to do. But to look at the example of the person that, I don't even know his name, but he stabbed that college student in the heart, and he just got out on bond.
Yeah, see, that doesn't make any sense to me.
No, it doesn't.
I think our justice system is definitely needing an overhaul. But related to the January 6th thing, I always see videos where I'm like, dude, they were baited in there. That is a setup to make it look as if Trump incited a riot. I almost think
Yeah,
it was just to
correct.
make sure Trump didn't get elected again and wasn't able to run again. So they kind of used you guys to make it look like he incited that thing.
That's 100% correct. And I have a lot of friends in the media, and they were all telling me the same thing, which is that they were going to try to convict us of a 1512 charge, which is basically obstruction of Congress, and get enough convictions so that they could eventually then go after Trump. We were target practice because who they wanted was Trump.
Yeah. So didn't the judge or anybody involved look at the footage and say they didn't do anything?
No. I mean, I really can't speak on any cases that were truly fair in that respect. I mean, and then you look at the DC district courts now. They're fighting Trump at every step of the way. So it just shows that the entire court as a whole is really just is tainted.
Yeah, not to mention, you would think that at some point, like you would have a jury, et cetera, but you pled, so there was no trial at all.
Yeah, no trial at all.
Was there any J6ers that pled not guilty the whole way through?
Yeah, there were lots that went to trial, and every single one of them lost all of them.
See?
So the record wasn't looking very good for me.
Oh no, dude, you did the right thing,
Yeah,
because if you
yeah.
don't, you get screwed. And
Right.
they go with much more time.
Correct. Yeah.
So you were pardoned by Trump. Do you think you owe him your loyalty now, or would you call him out if you thought he was doing something bad?
I'm a man of values, and so I will always speak my mind, and I will always stand up for what I believe in.
Did you ever get to talk to him?
No, I haven't.
So how many were totally arrested? How many total?
There's got to be, if I remember the numbers correctly, it was more than 600.
But was there anybody that was in that building and walking around that didn't get arrested?
Oh, I'm sure there's lots. I know that even days before Trump was inaugurated, they were still going after people and still arresting people.
Are they still doing it?
Well, they can't now.
Why?
I think that, since Trump gave that blanket pardon, I don't think they can even investigate.
Did all J6ers get?
Yeah,
pardoned?
anyone involved got a pardon.
Nice.
Yeah. So that means no more investigations, all that's over.
So you were a felon for a minute.
I was.
You
yeah,
lost all your rights.
I did.
You would have been screwed for life.
Yeah, I was already marking off the countries I could no longer visit because I love to travel.
So was January 6th a protest that got out of hand, or was it exactly what the media called it?
It was even better than that. I like to refer to it as basically a frat party.
It was just,
there was obviously passion and patriotism involved too, but it was more so a big party that just got out of hand.
Yeah,
To call it an insurrection is just ridiculous.
I saw videos where people were moving the barricades, in other words, come on in.
Right.
And then I would say that, and then some of my buddies that lean a little left are like, "What are you talking about, dude? You didn't see the videos where they were bashing windows?" And I'm like, I honestly didn't. But if there were those videos, it sounds almost like something has to be untrue.
Right.
Because how can this group over here be bashing windows and these people are just being let in?
Correct.
So were you guys surrounding the building? I mean, it was a huge building.
Yeah,
Or was it just one main area?
So there's a lot of controversial footage that shows police officers pepper spraying and attacking people in the crowd that were not doing anything wrong at all. So obviously when you're inciting the crowd, especially a crowd of peaceful protesters, then you have to wonder, why were certain people going or acting a little bit more aggressively and some people weren't? And you have to look back on, what was the cause of that? And then, the footage surrounding that shows a lot of that.
Do you use your footage now to prove things?
Not yet, but I think that it's right now all with my co-defendant who still has it, who I will be seeing shortly.
Nobody has seen it, or it's already out in the public.
That's a great question. I'm not quite sure what he has, but I know he's got footage that I don't think anyone's seen yet.
Well, he's pardoned too.
Yeah.
Yeah. So do you think the government is actively hunting people like you to send a message, or did you break a law and deserve the sentence?
So it was definitely more so to send a message. I think it was a way to scare the American people into submission and into silence, more so than it was about punishment. Because if it was punishment, it would have been 30 days in jail, maybe a fine.
Yeah, well, for what charge? What did you do if you said, listen, here's if I broke a law, this was the law I broke. What law was broken?
I'd love to tell everybody. So it's 1512C2, and you can look it up in the law books. It's basically it is a witness tampering charge, a witness tampering statute, which is basically obstruction of an official proceeding. You can look it up. It's basically if you attempt to obstruct a court hearing or a court case, or you try to intimidate a witness. And this is what they're prosecuting me on. So, of course, years later, it reaches the Supreme Court. The Supreme Court decides it's not a valid charge, which is what I pled to and did time for.
But because you pled, then you're screwed.
Right.
So what proceeding was happening that you guys were interrupting?
Well, there was none. But
That's
they were
what I
trying
thought.
to...
Wasn't it empty?
Well, yeah, exactly. But they were trying to say that even the intent to obstruct and the proceeding being the Electoral College count. And they tried to categorize it as an official proceeding, basically obstruction of Congress, which is actually a very serious felony.
Well, yeah. I mean, if someone was really doing that, I would say that you're insurrectionist and you probably should be punished. And again, that's because I'm a fair dude. I'm not saying it just because one side or the other. It's like if you guys were doing that when that shit was really going on, you probably did break a law. But from what I understand, and again, I didn't look too far into it because it's mainstream media. And when I look at the mainstream media, I know that it's for views and clicks, and there's a narrative and who owns it, and look at who owns it and what do they believe and what do they want. And that's what you're going to see.
Yeah.
So I don't look too far into it. But what I noticed when I did look was there wasn't anything going on there. You guys were all rallying together in support of Trump, was it? Or what were you guys there for to begin with?
Well, we definitely wanted to support Trump, and we wanted to make our voices heard because there was a lot of people that weren't there that questioned the election and had a lot of questions about what happened. And we just felt like the media and the government was all just sort of shoving it under the rug and ignoring our voices. So it was more so also to make a statement and to show that, we weren't happy with the election. Obviously, the government doesn't seem to care about that.
Do you believe the election was rigged?
Absolutely. 100%.
I think anyone with a brain knows that it was.
Yeah. But if you were in a courtroom, you could not say that as a January 6th, or you were going to face way more time.
Really?
Yeah.
So if you could go back, would you still show up, or would you just keep your ass out of it?
Yeah. I don't think that I regret anything I did.
But if you could go back, well, not knowing that you were pardoned, but when you were sitting in jail and thought, man, I got 37 months to do, did you regret it? Did you like, shit, I shouldn't even have went out there?
Of course. I regret anything that causes me to lose my liberty and my freedom.
Well, yeah. But I mean, so it's hard to answer only because you're pardoned now.
I regretted it because of the punishment, but not because of the actions.
Yeah, so the fact that you were pardoned, you know, now it's easy to say, yeah, I didn't regret it.
Right.
I'd do it all over again.
Yeah, exactly.
But if you weren't going to get pardoned, would you do it all over again?
That's a good question. I would think about that. But,
yeah, my answer would be
yes.
no.
I don't know. Because
Well, dude, it doesn't matter. It's just like veganism. Everybody wants to, stand in front of the frickin' farms. Yeah, it's cruel that they're doing that shit to the animals. But guess what? You doing that's not going to help.
Right.
You just get arrested.
Right.
And people think that's worth it. And it's like, it's not worth it, dude. Yeah. Keep your mouth shut and back up. Well, if everyone thought that way, listen, I'm not saying don't do anything. I'm saying don't do that. Right. Because you're going to go to jail and it's not going to do anything. Right. Like if you guys weren't pardoned, dude, the world's moving on without you.
Correct.
Nobody's sitting there defending the J6ers. Yeah. Nobody's sitting there going, free these guys. This is unfair. And we would have kept going until you were released. Everybody just moved on with their lives.
Correct.
So like, why would it be worth it?
The only thing that would change my mind is if Trump didn't get reelected.
That would have been fucked for you guys.
I would have not taken it back had he got reelected and me not pardoned. I still would have. So the reason I say that is because I think that January 6th was the reason that Trump got reelected.
You think so?
I think so.
You don't think it was Joe Rogan?
Well, he certainly helped, but it caused so much scrutiny against this year's election because of what happened that it made it much more difficult to cheat.
Really?
That's what I think. I really believe that.
I don't know.
We changed the gears. We set different gears in motion.
Well, then I'd say it'd be worth it if that's the truth. But I don't believe that. I don't think that factored into why people voted for Trump. I think the reason why everybody voted for Trump was the same reason everyone voted for Trump the last time, but they cheated.
Right.
And I think anyone with a brain in their head knows that they cheated. There's proof that they cheated. But when I tell my left buddies that, they're like, bro, they've went in front of several judges and they've thrown it out and da-da-da-da-da. I'm like, dude, judges can be paid for too.
Right.
You know
the
what I mean?
Same liberal activist judges that shoot down everything else he does.
Yeah, everybody acts like everything is fair.
Right.
Like it's not fair. It's rigged.
Right.
The whole damn system's rigged.
Yeah.
You know, look what Elon's doing. Everybody's pissed off that he's in there. Not everybody, but there's a bunch of people pissed off that he's in there exposing the fraud and the theft. And how can you be mad about it? Like, it is what it is.
But they'll take that check once he sends them a check.
Well, that's who's mad, I think.
Right.
People that were getting benefited somehow.
Yeah.
Because why would you be mad? Even if I was a left-leaning liberal, hey, what did he see? What happened?
Yeah.
No way. Are you shitting me? Like, I'd be like, well, dude, this is unbelievable. Like, I didn't know. But people are mad. And they're mad. And I don't think everyone who's mad is getting something. I think people are mad because no matter what, they just want something to bitch about. And no matter what you say or prove or show them, they are just on this side, and that is that.
Yeah.
There's no talking to them.
There's two different groups of people that are mad. One are those that are probably have something to hide, that are in high positions and don't want it to be found.
That's a fact.
And then there's the others that are just mad because they're told to be mad.
Yeah, it's just like
they don't know why they're mad, but they're told to be mad.
Yeah, it's like the Epstein list.
Yeah.
Like when someone says, well, they're not going to release that, I'm thinking, who is deciding not to release it?
Right, exactly.
Why do they have this power over the people? The people are supposed to be running shit.
Right.
We elect you to go in there and do business and vote for us and be our voice. We didn't give you the power to rule us.
Exactly.
So apparently we have.
Yeah.
It's not fair. I don't like it. I don't even like talking about it because then it starts getting me pissed off.
Yeah, me too.
Let's talk about the future. Are you now a symbol for free speech and resistance, or are you being used as a pawn by political agendas on both sides?
I would say it's probably a combination of both. There would be those that have good intentions and then those that have the ill intentions. But I feel like it's my duty to make sure that we spread the importance of the First Amendment and the ability to express yourself. And the government is actively, against that. I mean, now that Trump's president, that might change.
Well, we're hoping.
Yeah.
But because, I mean, a lot of people think the FBI and other agencies were weaponized, and that was all provoked to justify a crackdown.
Right.
To basically get people to shut up and get in line.
Exactly.
Do you think that's the case?
100%. And then, of course, there's those on the left that are happy about it until it's them in the bullseye, so to speak.
Yeah.
And then they're not so happy. So I think that this is really, it's a bipartisan issue because at the end of the day, Republican or Democrat, we're Americans. And we should all be concerned about what happens to other Americans, regardless of your political ideologies.
That's right. That's right.
Yeah.
That's the way I am. Like, dude, there's some things I would say I'm a little more liberal on, and some things I'm a little more conservative on. But to me, I'm just a constitutionalist, meaning, dude, I'm not here to question the Constitution. That's what we all agreed on, and that's what we should go by. And whatever the Constitution says, it says, and that's that. But the problem with the Constitution, I think the only problem with it, was it left a loophole to change it.
Yeah.
They shouldn't have made that loophole.
Right.
They should have said, this is what it is. It's never going to end, and we're done. But again, they probably had good intent in mind, and they left a little way to change it if times change or we need to change things. But again, I'm not a constitutional expert, so I don't know if some of the things were fair or unfair. But overall, I would say I'm not left or right. I'm American.
Yes.
And I'm about America and its citizens.
Yeah.
Left and right, quite frankly. I mean, the left shouldn't have to shut up if the right shouldn't have to shut up. Everyone should have free speech. If you don't like it, you should be able to say it. If you want to rally. Yeah. If they open the doors and you walk in and then get arrested for that, like that's stupid.
Yeah, exactly.
There's all kinds of stupidity, I think, going on. some people are calling you a hero, others call you a criminal. Do you get any hate on the street from people when they know who you are?
No hate on the street, more so online, the keyboard warriors.
Do you get a lot of that?
I'm sure in comments across various videos or podcasts that I've done. I don't ever read them, really. I don't have much of an interest. And if they were negative, I don't really care. I think it's kind of funny, and I like to trigger the liberals. So,
what about all the others? Now, you say everybody got pardoned.
As far as I know, yeah.
Because from what I heard, thousands of others didn't.
I didn't know.
Really?
I'm not aware of that. Yeah. I'm
going to go investigate and see if that's the case. Because what would you
curious.
say if you got pardoned and thousands of others didn't?
I mean, it's obviously unfair. And I would, if I knew names of those who didn't, I would advocate on their behalf. But as far as I know, everybody that I know personally has been pardoned.
How long ago did you get pardoned?
This was almost immediately. I think it was day one of Trump's presidency.
So at that time, how'd you get notified?
Well, my probation officer called me.
And said what?
About an hour later. And he said, DeGrave, I've never had to make one of these calls before, but your case is over. Actually, he asked me first. He said, you know why I'm calling you, right? And I said, yeah, I think I have an idea.
And did you just feel relief?
Yeah, it's like a big weight off my shoulders.
Did you live here?
Yeah, I was here.
Did you throw a party?
I didn't, but that's coming. That's still coming.
How long ago was it?
It's in January.
So what are you waiting on?
Well, I've been working, just crazy busy.
What are you doing? What are you doing now that this is over? How do you make money? What's your day? What's your goals?
So yeah, I've always been obsessed with AI as well as productivity. So I've put together a team where we're actually developing an AI powered app that will make you extremely productive. Basically, it's designed to determine where you want to go in life, what your ultimate vision is, and then where you are. And then it actually creates the entire game plan. It creates your tasks, your subtasks, manages your calendar, even automatically delegates to your team. So
really?
Yeah.
What about accountability?
Yeah, I mean, accountability, you obviously have to do it.
I know, but if someone could invent some way to hold people accountable.
That's a great point.
They'd be a trillionaire.
I think there's services out there that do that, where you have to pay a price or you have to pay something every time you break a habit. I don't know exactly how it works, but there's something out there like that.
Well, you probably want to think of that as the next phase of the app. What's the app called?
It's Achieve AI.
Achieve AI.
AchieveAI.io. We have a waiting list of people now, so you can join the waiting list if you want.
Yeah, well, dude, it sounds like a killer app. So basically, it probably prompts you for a bunch of answers. Yeah. Who are you? What do you want? What's your age? Where do you live? What's it running off of? What language model did you use?
So we're using OpenAI for the language model, but we're probably going to switch more to a local version, because the way that this app works is it's running hundreds of prompts every day. It's like using ChatGPT, but doing thousands of prompts daily. So obviously with an API or a language model, that could become costly. So we're probably going to create our own.
So from what I take, it's I'm going to download the app. It's going to ask me some questions, and then it's going to, prompt me. Does it ask me questions?
Yes. Yeah. So there's an extensive profile area, and there's psychological assessments, and then there's physical section, which of course is like blood pressure, muscle mass, body fat. And then of course there's finances, which takes banking information, connects via Plaid to your bank accounts. Then you can plug in your expenses, your income, the various projects and businesses that you have, all your contacts, and all the information about each contact. So it will actually text them and respond on your behalf as well.
Dude, that's badass sounding.
Yeah.
It almost sounds like, download it, plug, get it working, and follow what it says, basically. And you're guaranteed success.
Yeah, it's the future. It's really the future. I think that we're heading down a path where AI is going to have its hand in every decision that you make. So someone's got to do it, and I think that our team is going to be the one to do it.
How are you going to stop everybody from copying that?
Well, see, here's the thing. A lot of our competitors, they have very established apps already. So they're sort of like just just throwing on a bunch of AI capabilities onto their pre-existing software platforms. We actually are building it from the ground up with AI first in mind. So it's going to be really hard, even for bigger companies, to like restructure their entire thing to do what we're doing.
Well, AI operates with prompts.
Yep.
So how does the user know what to prompt it?
So it's a chat interface. So picture the app as kind of like having a conversation with a friend. And all you would do is simply have conversations throughout the day as things happen in your life. So as I was saying earlier, if let's just say you get a text from your boss and it says, hey, we have to let you go. You go into the app and you text, hey, I just lost my job. The AI will automatically scan all your finances, all your financial data, your bills, of course, expenses, your tasks, your subtasks, your calendar events, and it will actually restructure everything based off of just a single prompt to the AI.
So if I had an appointment tomorrow to go to work, I'd look at my schedule after I told it I got fired, and it would say, look for a job.
Yeah, exactly. It would
and
reschedule it.
Here's some applications.
Yes, it would reschedule it. It would then text them, with the information, maybe not necessarily the personal information, but it would reschedule it. And then it would plan your entire day, and it integrates with your calendar. So you just go into your calendar each day and you just see what it has scheduled for you.
Dude, it sounds elaborate.
Yeah.
Quite frankly.
Yeah, it's a very complex app.
Yeah, because I use AI a lot.
Yeah.
It's freaking unbelievable.
It's amazing.
And it saves you unbelievable amounts of money.
Yeah.
Like I get consultations from prompting AI in certain ways that would cost 50 grand.
Yeah.
And it's free in, 20 seconds.
Yeah.
But a lot of the prompting I do is what determines the answer it gives. And sometimes I got to believe that it's kind of patronizing me.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's like, hey, what's the best training software out there? Oh, Lightspeed VT is absolutely the best because of these reasons, because it already knows I own it.
Right.
So it's almost like, is it telling the truth? So if like, hey, how do I become successful? Doesn't it have to factor in where you live, who your parents are, who your network is, and like, what do you do every day? Like, wouldn't it just need so much data on you? How do you get that much data, and how do you program it to factor in all of that?
Yeah, exactly. So it needs extensive amounts of data if you're really going to get an actual good response from AI. Otherwise, like you said, you have to spend a lot of time crafting these prompts where you over and over again re-explain what you're doing or what your goals are. So we're putting an end to that. So you could just go in and say, write me a sales letter, and it would then scan all your company documents. It would determine, what your goals are, and it would do it for you without having to give any further context.
Yeah, well, it almost sounds like you're just making shit up, meaning you're just making it sound amazing. Like, to get it to actually do that, and if it actually did that, dude, you're going to have a freaking home run for sure.
Well, we're already close.
But I mean, are you raising money for it, or are you paying for it out of your own pocket?
So not yet. We're going to be taking on VCs at some point. So right now it's all self-funded.
And you can almost get it to do everything right now?
Yeah, and we've only been developing this for 60 days, and we're getting very close.
So what are you missing?
Well, I mean, there's obviously just certain functionalities, and you give it the ability to scan certain parts of your profile, but we're getting really close to completion.
The description you gave earlier is you can talk to it.
Yeah.
Just like you can ChatGPT.
Exactly.
Do you ever see where maybe like someone makes one of these where now it hears everything I hear and it knows everywhere I go and literally can almost prompt me based on conversations? Like, let's say I'm having a conversation with you and my phone would go bing, and I'd look and it'd be like, ask Nate if he wants to collab on this, that, and the other thing because of my goals. Right. You know what I mean? Like in other words, there's a lot of people that miss opportunities left and right. Mm-hmm. So if I had an AI assistant, but if I have to prompt it or I have to log it, it doesn't even know I'm talking to you. Do you think you could figure out where it could just hear everything you hear 24 hours a day and factor all that in?
Yeah. So hardware is coming down the line, but we do envision having some sort of hardware based to match up with the app as well. So whether that's just a small wearable or glasses or something, but I think the wearable would probably be the best bet for that.
Yeah. Again, it almost sounds like if someone said, what do you think about that? I'd say, it almost sounds like a dream, too good to be true.
Yeah.
Like, dude, that's some elaborate shit.
Yeah, it's coming. I mean, you know, and I don't think we're going to be the first ones to do it, but just imagine like ChatGPT, but a ChatGPT that knows everything about you and has access to a database where it can connect your calendar, create tasks, and do everything, you know, do all that for you.
Just like if someone were a felon and you prompted, one of my goals is to get pardoned by the president. It would say, okay, reach out to this person, submit this, submit that, because there's a pardon czar. Not everyone gets it, but this is how you get them or try to get them.
Yeah, exactly.
And it would just put it on your calendar.
Yep.
Hey, I want to lose weight. Here's your workout.
Exactly.
Make sure you eat this. Make sure you do this. Don't consume more calories than this.
Yeah.
Dude, that sounds like freaking
and then
amazing.
as you complete the task, it has a database of everything you've completed, and it's all categorized by areas, so it's keeping up to date with what you've already done, where you're at. You know, it has a very wide context.
So when does this launch?
I would say we're going to get this done within the next 3 to 4 months.
So it should be hitting the market.
Yeah.
Are you excited?
I'm very excited.
How many people are involved that would get rich if it went berserk?
We have a small team.
So like 10?
Yeah, we have less than 5 right now.
Less than 5 people? And they all have equity?
Just all coders, and then myself.
Do they have equity?
No equity.
All the equity's yours?
All the equity's mine right now.
You ever think about giving some to the coders?
Potentially. I might offer a % to the senior developer.
I would say I'm going to make you all rich. Because, dude, I mean, if this works the way you're saying, it could probably go like in the billions. Who cares if
of course.
somebody gets a little piece?
Yeah. So in the last 5 years alone, there have been 200 AI unicorns, meaning $0 to $1 billion in 5 years. 200 of them.
That's a lot.
Yeah, it's a lot. 1 of 5 venture capitalist dollars are going to AI startups.
Well, AI is changing the world.
Yeah.
A lot of people listening right now, they're thinking, yeah, I've heard of it. And yeah, I use it for this or that. I think you guys are sleeping on it.
Right.
And I think if everybody like gets in like you are, where you're starting to develop things based on it, even the remember when the .com, everyone was throwing money and companies weren't even making money, but they were just buying all the .coms.
Yep.
Then the .com bubble bursts. Mm-hmm. I think it's the same. I think it's going to be like start a company with AI and you're going to get money thrown at you. Yeah. As long as it's legit and it's got some feet.
Yeah, exactly. So obviously the goal is $1 billion, but if we fail, you know, maybe we get 100 million.
Yeah. Do you, how much have you put into it?
Right now, less than 10 grand.
So you can just build this shit that cheap?
That cheap. So we have overseas developers and we're using AI to actually code it.
Are you afraid of them stealing it?
No, because it's all contract.
Well, I mean, they could still steal it.
They could.
You ever been to China?
No, I haven't.
They got contracts too.
So I've thought about it, but what I'm going to do moving forward, and I've thought a lot about this, is just compartmentalize and just keep information with certain people. And when you compartmentalize information within your company, you can keep control.
So are you in any way like some sort of activist now on the J6 shit, or are you like, that's over, I'm done?
Yeah, I mean, I've kind of moved on from that. I'll still talk about it, and I get invited to talk about it a lot. But, you know, there are a lot of us who just sort of identify with that too much, and it can't quite move past that. And I think it will help to an extent. But eventually people will get tired of it, and you can need something else to offer.
Yeah, well, that's a fact.
Yeah.
And you think there's some people that are just like, that's their whole thing?
Yeah.
Probably because they've never had any kind of attention before.
Right.
And they're like, you know, basking in the attention of J6.
Yeah.
But again, to me, it's like, it's already almost old news.
Yeah.
Someone said, hey, you want to talk to this guy about J6? I almost say, yeah, I do. Only because I have my own questions. But at the end of the day, I think from a news perspective, isn't it kind of already getting old?
Yeah, pretty much. So you have to be able to move on and, you know, adapt.
Yeah, but like what you're talking about now is more interesting. An app,
way more interesting.
Yeah, an app based on AI that could literally allow a normal person that doesn't have the right mindset, the right skill set, or the right habits, plug in their dreams and goals, and then AI prompts them and lays out, well, here's what you do.
Right.
And again, folks that are listening, you're like, dude, I'm going to sign up for this. It doesn't matter if you don't do the shit. That's the problem.
Right.
That's why, in my mind, you need to figure out some way to provide some sort of accountability to where like it even helps, because accountability is the key.
Yeah.
And most people have to kind of do it themselves. And that's why most people don't succeed, because they don't hold themselves accountable. There's no discipline. Like I download your app. It tells me get up at 5:30 a.m., go to the gym, drink this, don't do this. Does it say what not to do, or does it just say what to do?
It tells you what to do.
Yeah. So like if I wake up and my schedule based on my prompt or my goals or my dreams, you know, it might be, I'm not doing that shit.
Right.
Which would then ultimately crash your whole company.
Well, I mean, at that point, nobody can help you. I mean, if you're not willing to put in the work, then I could be Tony Robbins.
No, I know, but like imagine you get 1 billion downloads, because you don't get paid on downloads.
Right.
Or do you? Are you going to charge for it?
So we're going to have a premium model, a freemium model.
Yeah, so they can download it for free.
Yeah.
But then they have to upgrade to get the good shit.
Right.
Which makes sense. So you download 1 billion, you don't make a dime, and then overwhelmingly everyone's like, yeah, this is bullshit, doesn't do anything, doesn't work. When it works, you're the one that's not working. Mm-hmm. They don't say that though.
Correct.
They're going to blame your app.
Yeah. So the way that we're trying to combat that, and there's only so much you can do, but because it knows your personality and it has your psychological profiles, it's able to motivate you more efficiently. And it also knows, of course, your vision and your dreams. So we're building into it the ability to motivate and communicate with you based on who you are as a person, you know, psychologically, and what motivates you. So I think that it's going to make it easier for people to take action because they'll be inspired. But obviously, you can't help everybody.
Well, again, dude, I can't wait for that to launch. I just want to fill out the shit and see what it tells me to do, because I might be already doing it.
Yeah, you might be.
Yeah, because I'm already obviously quote unquote successful. But the question is, you know, I want to turn this. I want to find predictable leads for Lightspeed. You know, I have goals, and like I'm always figuring them out. But if I had an AI tool like that, where I could just let it know everything about me, everything about my company, upload my financials, upload my vendors, upload everything, and then just go, how can I make $1 billion? Boom. If it just said, do this, do this, do this, do this, I'd just start chopping wood. Yeah. I'd just start hammering. And I would assume you could say, I want it in 3 months. Well, in 3 months, you know, it's not possible. Or you think it ever says prompts that like, or responses that are like, dude, that's unrealistic?
Well, potentially. But what we do is the app is really only designed to input a vision for each area of your life. And there's really no timeline on the vision, because from my perspective, I've always believed that you should never have a goal, a deadline on a goal, that the deadline should be as soon as possible. So we just create the vision, and then AI then takes that vision, breaks it down into a goal, which is like your next possible step. So if you want to lose 50 pounds, maybe it's lose 10 pounds in the next 30 days. And that becomes the goal. From there, it then breaks that down into a series of milestones, whether that's, you know, put together a nutrition plan or a workout plan. And then from there, it breaks it down into tasks, which you then accomplish on a daily basis. So there's really no way to input a deadline, so to speak. It's just what you want, where you are. It does that gap analysis, and then it just takes you step by step towards that vision. You
want me to give you a couple ideas that, I mean, if you can do all that shit, you could probably certainly introduce what I'm thinking.
I'm always open.
So number one, have it automatically create a vision board.
I like it.
A digital vision board based on my dreams.
Like a mind movie.
Or something.
Yeah.
You know, vision boards are actually effective if people build them. Most people don't, but you know, getting a cardboard, you know, from Michael's Crafts and cutting out a picture of a badass house and a car and all your visions on that vision board has been proven scientifically to actually, you know, attract and move you towards those. Yeah. So like your app sounds like it's got all the data. So now I want to visually see my goals or my vision. Yeah. Bang. And now it builds me a vision board that just, you know, scrolls on my phone or something, just a vision board.
And it could even automatically generate the photos or videos if they're not out there to match what it is you want. Because now we have the generative AI.
Yeah.
And it's interesting you mentioned that, because when I was in jail, I had a photo, or it was a piece of paper that had $150,000 written on it. And every day I was visualizing that amount of money coming to me. And I was, because I'm a big believer in the law of attraction, but I was thinking, let me attempt the impossible. I'm in jail. Can I raise 150 grand while sitting in jail? And 12 months later, I didn't hit 150, but I got to $137,000 while sitting in jail. And I visualize it every day. And I think it's because the law of attraction is a real thing.
Yeah, well, definitely, dude. I can attest to that.
Yeah.
What was the other one? Damn it. See, this is why I always interrupt, because if I don't say what I'm thinking, I just won't say it. One was a vision board. The other one was, binaural beats. Yeah. So like based on my vision that your app has collected, make me a vision board and then give me some sort of soundtrack to listen to when I sleep and when I work out, or when I'm starting to feel depressed. Like just pop in your earphones, hit the app, and the AI goes, here's the frequencies that you need to listen to, or here's the subconscious programming through music or something.
So I've been doing that a lot with ChatGPT. And what I'll do is I will tell it a limiting belief that I have, and I'll say, convince me why I'm wrong. And then it'll write out, why I'm wrong. And then I will actually, I use an app called TTS. It's a Google Chrome extension. And it allows you to, when you click on play, to download the MP3. So I download it, put it on my Galaxy Buds, and I just loop it on repeat. So I use it to reframe and change my beliefs.
Yeah, so add that into your app as an upgrade. Right. Because if I downloaded your app and it said another X amount of dollars, you want a vision board to look at on a regular basis, and you want the appropriate frequencies to draw this in and subconsciously program, which will help. I'd be like, yes. Now all of a sudden, every day in the morning, I'm thinking about your app and I'm opening it because I need my beats, my binaural beats, I think they're called.
Yeah.
Because you want adoption and you want people to use it and open it and be on it. Exactly. And if it tells me my plan and now I'm looking at my calendar, you got me on my Google Calendar. I'm not really messing with this anymore.
Yeah.
So to keep me messing with this, your app, there has to be something that brings me back to it. Because once I program it and I say, here's my goal. Well, dude, I just look at my Google Calendar every day and I wouldn't even open up the app. Why would I need to? It's already laid out the next 90 days. So like for 90 days, I wouldn't touch your app, and that's not good for you.
Yes and no, because let's just say you get into a car accident. Now you have to open the app to let the AI know that there's been a change of events. So obviously the AI still has to be updated based on
but not as often. Not as often.
And that's the idea. We want a hands-off approach. And I don't want you to have to use the app all the time. As long as it's programming your day and knows everything, then you're basically stuck with it.
But doesn't that decrease your value?
Well, no, because if people can't go without it, and as long as they're subscribing, that's all that matters.
Yeah, I would argue. That's one main thing. But dude, if you can get me opening that bitch and looking in that thing on a regular basis, because if I'm just imagining using it the way you described it, I would be using it, bing, 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 bing. I'd give it everything I had to give it, and then I'd say, this is what I want, and I'd hit enter, and it'd go, okay, your calendar is dialed in. Go follow that. What am I updating every day? I'm just complete, not complete.
Yeah.
That's another way.
That too.
But if you gave me some way where I had to tap in every day as part of it, like I need my beats for the day, or a vision board, or something that has to do with daily use.
Yeah, of course. Think of it like Monday.com, or some of those other, like ClickUp, for example. Yeah. These are apps that people use every day anyway. So this is an app that does all that plus everything else. Will
it have the ability to like suggest, like, I want to make money online, and then it suggests all the ways you can make money online?
Yeah, so it'll do like what's the deep research function that you see in ChatGPT. Yeah. It'll go out, but this also watches YouTube videos. So it watches the videos, transcribes them, learns from all the top videos and top content, and then creates the plans based off of what it learns.
Well, dude, I can't wait till this is out. I'll download it at least just to fill it out and see what it says I should be doing on a regular basis. Yeah. Everyone listening, where do they go?
Yeah, it's achieveai.io.
achieveai.io. If I were you listening to this, I'd definitely go get on the wait list and download it when it comes out, only because, dude, if somebody wants to win in life, all they have to do is consistently do the right shit. Well, the AI is going to tell you what the right shit is. So now all you have to is do it.
Right.
Like, dude, you're making it simple is easy.
Trying to make it as easy as possible for people to succeed.
And you say there's apps kind of like that out there?
Not what we're doing.
Because I was going to develop the vision board app like about a year ago. I was thinking, man, there's no way to get a vision board. And I even called an app developer, but I didn't follow through with it. But I'm like, I want an app where I can download it and someone can answer a few questions and maybe even snap a picture that they see of a house or a car or something and feed it in there and then have it create me just a digital AI generated vision board where it sticks my ass right in the middle of this vision. And all I want to do is when I open up my phone every day, boom, let me look at my vision board and like highlight this. And then ultimately, if I don't do the things to help me get the shit on the board, it'd start to fade. So the Ferrari would start to fade and that or turn into a Civic. Mm. You know what I mean?
That's awesome.
That's by cool. My lack of action, my vision board is going from what it started as to what it's gonna be if I don't get busy.
Yeah, exactly.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But I didn't develop anything.
No, I like that.
I got too much shit going on. You take it and run with it, dude. Yeah. I'm telling you, that's a legitimate app right there.
I think that's a great idea. Or even to take it a step further is you upload photos of yourself and it puts you in those photos.
Yeah. Yeah, dude. I'm excited to see where that goes. If it's even a fraction of what you're describing, dude, I think you're gonna have a hit on your hands. Is this your first hit? Have you ever made money before?
I have, but I've never developed apps before.
What were you doing before?
So I was doing SEO and marketing.
Well, marketing.
Internet marketing, yeah.
Yeah, well, again, that's my challenge and about 20 million other businesses' challenge. Yeah. There's so many people that claim they know how to do marketing, but they don't understand that marketing is a big word. I mean, it's a lot. It's like, well, I do Google ads. Dude, that's paid ads. That's like paid advertisement. That's one little tiny thing inside of marketing. Mm-hmm. Marketing is like, your copywriting, it's your media buying, it's your freaking offer. Yeah. It's your strategy behind the offer. It's your ascension if you have one or don't have one. It's the other things that circle. It's the vertical integration of everything. It's a big word. What's that?
Even down to the colors and fonts that a business uses.
Yeah, theoretically, I've heard that. Like, branding. If you have an orange button, you'll get more clicks than a blue button.
Yeah, yeah.
So
ideally, everything should be very consistent.
How good?
Every color, every font.
How good did you get marketing?
Yeah, so I did really well. I started when I was young. I was about 18 when I started, and I started taking a supplement. And I figured, okay, well, I'm taking this supplement. Why not market the journey that I'm taking it? So every day I took photos and I wrote my progress and how I felt. And 30 days later, the owner of the company reaches out and makes me VP of the company. So I'm in charge of now this huge company at such a young age, doing all the marketing. Eventually I became co-owner, and then the company shut down because we were selling pro hormones.
Pro hormones?
Pro hormones.
What are those?
So it's like a steroid, but without the side effects.
And that's not allowed?
Yeah, the FDA was cracking down on them at the time, and they made illegal some of the substances that we were using. And then eventually I made my way into First Form and became their supplement company as well, led by Andy Frisella.
Yeah, what would you do for them?
So I became one of their first salespeople ever, a long time ago. And I'm still working with them, and I see them every year at the Summer Smash. So,
dude, that thing sells out in like seconds.
It does. And Andy's a great guy.
Andy's a freaking real deal.
Yeah, he is.
I try to tell people, Andy Frisella. People are like, who? Like, well, a lot of people do know him, but the ones that don't, like, if you want to Google somebody that like went from zero to hero and takes a lot of people with him and speaks his mind and doesn't beat around the bush, Google Andy Frisella.
Yeah, he's awesome.
And First Form. One day I called him. I said, Andy, you know, I got his First Form products because I like to support my buds. And I said, Andy, your protein has like, what the fuck was it? Aspartame or some shit that's not good for you.
Yeah.
Supposedly. Mm-hmm. And I said, you know, why don't you use stevia or something like that? And he said, dude, everything gives you fucking cancer. I started laughing because what he was saying is stop being a bitch, dude. You think that's going to bother anybody? And again, scientifically, they say it supposedly causes cancer. Yeah. After like ingesting 600 kilograms,
right,
which you couldn't do if you took 10 protein shakes a day for 100 years. So it's like all this stupidity. That's why I like Andy, because he doesn't play the games. He's got the best tasting shit out there. First Form products are legit.
Yeah.
He's got race teams. He gives back to his employees. He gives back to his community. He's got a podcast. He leads entrepreneurs with the straight truth. So that's a good company.
Yeah.
Shout out to my boy Andy Frisella.
Yeah.
Yeah, so app's the only thing on the radar right now.
So I have another company as well, and we do AI automation for companies. So AI agents, particularly.
Like
so,
call agents or what?
No, so AI agents, they're kind of like, it's like ChatGPT, but it can access the internet and use a computer. So we're doing things like data entry for big logistics companies right now, and anything that a person can do, an AI can do using a computer.
Nice. Where's that? What's that company called?
So that's Outsource AI.
Outsource AI.
Yeah, that's what's bringing me the money right now to fund the app.
So you're all about AI.
All about AI, efficiency, automation, productivity. So essentially everything from like even I work with even podcasting companies, and their biggest issue is booking people, reaching out on DMs, setting appointments, all that, and that's stuff that AI can do. You know, so it saves people tons of time.
Can it get in people's DMs?
Yeah.
Based on what? Based on an account that you give it?
Yeah. So you could give it a list of accounts. It could read from a CSV file or however you want to set it up.
So how does it integrate and get in there and send, like, in other words, how does it send a DM from my account?
So it can use a computer. So what you would do is you would instruct it to go to Instagram.com. You would feed it your credentials all ahead of time. And then what you wanted it to do, and you could say, you know, log into Instagram, go to this CSV file, send an email to the first person, delete it, and then repeat.
And it does that?
And it'll just go through, send the DMs, customize it, and do everything for you.
If you put a lot of data into your AI, is that data now on the internet and exposed to the public?
No, so we're using a database called Supabase, which stores all the data for our app. And even I can't view what's actually in the database, even as an admin and owner of the account. So it's called row level security, which just means it's just super, super secure.
Yeah, because I put my financials in this company in ChatGPT one time because I wanted to tell it the truth and get its opinion, kind of like a mini version of what you're talking about. Right. And it, number one, told me shit I didn't even know and what to look for. And it was like, it was correct. Yeah, I would have had to pay a shit ton of money to get like a consulting company in here to do that in months, and it did it in frickin' 10 seconds.
Yeah, exactly.
What are some of the ways businesses should be using AI right now to grow?
Yeah, so anything that uses a computer, you know, you should be totally automated. And so I'm a big believer in the 80-20 rule, of course, which I'm sure you're very familiar with.
Pareto principle.
So I want you focusing on only that 20%. That makes you all the money so that we can outsource or automate the other 80%, which is the bulk of most people's work. You know, most people when they're working their business, they're putting out fires all day instead of actually growing the company. So we're seeking to alleviate that from your plate so you can just focus on growth.
How do you do that with AI?
So AI does all the grunt work. And so what we would do is we set up a call, which is like an automation audit is what we call it. And we map out what are you spending all your time on? What are the time consuming tasks that you're doing on a day-to-day basis? And then we figure out a way to automate that so you can focus on the higher value activities.
Folks, you better pay attention. Where do they find that?
Yeah, so that's outsourceai.io.
Outsourceai.io and the app, if you guys want to be on the download for that, achieveai.ao. Nate DeGrave, I'm glad you're not rotting in prison.
Yes, me too.
I'm glad all the J6ers were released, and that was all bullshit to begin with. In my opinion, I'm sure the comment section is going to go crazy. Maybe I'll have you back once everybody flips their lid, and I'll have some more questions for you.
Yeah, sounds good.
Glad you're out.
Yes, thank you.
Your future seems bright. Folks, there you have it. Nate DeGrave telling you his side of the story. Don't believe everything you hear on social media or the MSM. Until next time, keep it real.